Our next speaker is Matt Canavan. Matt has been in Australian Parliament as a Senator for Queensland since 2013, Matt, is that right? Yeah. 10 years, so that's an achievement in itself, isn't it? So give him a clap for that. Again, Matt has consistently, courageously spoke on pro-life issues during his time there. However, what he's coming to speak about this year, again, is, you've heard Joe mention of it, is of extreme importance. Just recently, Matt, along with Senators Annett and Babette, has introduced a bill into the Senate, a bill which protects the rights of children that are born alive as a result of a failed abortion procedure. And I'll let Matt come up now and explain a little bit more.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. It's a great turnout, another great turnout from March for Life. I do want to recognise now, I think Amanda Stoker has just arrived, so give Amanda a huge round of applause. It's a testament to her character that she's still coming along. You do get some politicians who turn up when they need you and want you, but Amanda is still turning up, showing her character, that she really backs this movement and wants to see it succeed. So good on you, Amanda. Great to see you. I do want to thank Matt and Wendy as well for doing another fantastic event, all of you for coming out. But I especially want to pay tribute to Joanna Howe. How good is Joanna? Most of what I'm going to talk about today is just from Joanna's submission, so it's not really my speech. It's what Joanna and the work she's done. And if I can encourage you, if you're to do one thing looking into my bill to protect babies born alive that I'll speak of soon, if you can do one thing, go and read Joanna Howe's submission number 40 to this inquiry. If you Google Senate Community Affairs, it'll come up, you'll follow links through to submissions. Joanna Howe's submission is an absolute blockbuster, and no one can rebut the facts, the evidence, the stories that she has in there. Because I also want to thank Matt and Wendy for putting it on this afternoon. I live up at Yeppoon near Rockies, so had to fly down here, and because it's on this afternoon, I was able to actually go watch my kids' soccer this morning and then come down here. It was fantastic. Both my kids scored goals, by the way. It was great, a great morning. And that's what I was thinking on my way here from the airport. We're here because of the kids, right? That's why we're here. There's a few children here. It's great to see them, but not many kids can come here. Certainly babies, they can't get here to these rallies, so we've got to get here for them. And that's what we're here for. And my children give me so much enjoyment, so much love, and they should and deserve to be protected. And we don't have laws in this country that protect babies and children. We don't. It's a shame. It's a national shame. And it has been very frustrating these last few years. I've been to the last few of these in a row. I'm not sure if we're interrupted for COVID or not, but I've been to every one we could do in the last few years. And we've been on the back foot a bit, really, haven't we? We had the abortion laws here, the decriminalisation laws in this place. We've had euthanasia laws here and all around the country. And we've been on the back foot. And we've been trying to hold back. And you've all done enormous work in trying to do that. We've had some wins in New South Wales in making the changes not as bad as they could have been. But I'm not comfortable being on the back foot. I don't like doing that. I'm a little bit too punchy sometimes in politics. I want to attack. I want to go forward. And I think what is good this year, despite the losses we had the last couple of years, this year, it's the first time I can remember where we're speaking about something where we're on the front foot. We're on the front foot here because we have a bill in the Parliament, we have Senate hearings going forward, where we're actually trying to introduce laws to protect life, not just destroy life a little bit less. That's what we're doing, and it's thanks to you that that's happening. We have, I think, the first time that I can remember in living memory, a bill in front of the federal Parliament with Senate hearings, with a public submission process that seeks to enhance protections for life. The first time in a generation at least. And I really want to thank all the people that have been involved in that. You have swamped the Senate committee. Over 1,800 submissions have been received almost all of them in favour of the bill. And that is showing the level of reaction to this issue. And for those who don't know and haven't been involved, we have a situation in this country where, of course, we allow largely now legalised abortions right up to birth almost across the whole nation. Keep in mind, when I was here a couple of years ago and we're fighting against these laws, I said there's only 7 countries in the world that allow terminations up to birth. There was the Netherlands, North Korea, of course, Vietnam, Singapore, and Canada and China. Canada and China and the US. Now we have a situation, the US is not in that category anymore, thanks to Roe v. Wade. But it's still at 7, unfortunately, because Australia has come into it. And we're now a country that allows abortions right up to birth. Almost all European countries don't allow it. Most Asian countries don't allow it. Definitely not in Africa, not in South America. But here in Australia, we're one of the few continents where it's allowed up to birth. And because of that, because it's allowed up to birth, we have a situation where termination procedures don't always work. And they end up with a baby being born who is alive. There's breathing, there's crying in some circumstances. It can obviously feel pain and suffering. And as Joanna said, they left for sometimes hours to suffer without any human help or intervention. That's happening today. And we know from the work of Joanna and others that it's happening here in Queensland every 12 days. So every 12 days, there is a baby born alive from an abortion procedure in this state. Right? Less than 2 weeks. So your school holidays that were on a couple of weeks ago over Easter, there was a baby born alive during that period, on average in Queensland. That's happening. And why Joanna's submission is so important is because the groups that have submitted into this inquiry against my bill just says those babies should be provided care. They should be provided care like any other human being. Do you think that's reasonable? It's reasonable that a baby born alive should be given care. That's all the bill does. It's all a very simple bill. Well, the opponents to it, all they say, pretty much their only argument, is, oh no, it doesn't happen. That's what they say, it doesn't happen. And as Joanna goes through in her submission in great detail, as others have done, it clearly does happen. The statistics show it, the stories show it. It happens all the time. It happens every 12 days in this state. You can't argue against that, and you can't defend it. You can't. No one's out there saying, none of the submitters have really submitted in saying, oh, we shouldn't provide care to babies. No one can argue that, but they're trying to deny that it actually happens. So we just need to put that big spotlight on it, that it does happen. And in reading some of those submissions, I must say it is really, really hard. And I debated, I'm not actually going to read from them today because it's really horrific. And if you want to do that, they're all available. But I do want to take this opportunity. We should say some prayers for the midwives involved in these, and doctors, good doctors, involved in these systems that have to go through this. It's not their fault. It's not their fault that the Queensland Government's practitioner's guide is to leave a baby born alive without any assistance or care. They can be provided a blanket for warmth under the guidelines, but no other care. It's not their fault, it's not the midwife's fault. So we should pray for them, because imagine the suffering they have to go through. Imagine the guilt that some of them are racked with for their lives because of these inhumane laws passed by our own governments. And I also feel for all the parliamentary staff, they've got to read every one of those submissions you write in. They've got to read it, make sure it's okay. It's really, really tough. And just reading it shows you enough. It's case closed. This should stop. This should end. Now, it raises the question here, why wouldn't those that are pro-choice, why wouldn't they just accept our arguments and say, let's provide care to babies born alive? It'd be very simple. And it wouldn't necessarily change any other laws. It wouldn't necessarily roll back the decriminalisation we've seen. We just, okay, let's provide care to the one baby every 12 days here in Queensland. Care. Why wouldn't they just accept that and move on? But you know why they can't do that? Because if they accept that, it completely destroys their arguments about late-term abortions. Because you know the other thing that Joanna's found in her studies and research is that 1 in 6 late-term abortions end up with a baby born alive. 1 in 6. 1 in 6 don't work. 1 in 6 late-term abortions do not work as they are meant to. This is Russian roulette with babies' lives. This is literally Russian roulette. 1 in 6. 1 in 6. And so if that is exposed and they accept that, they accept the premise that 1 in 6 late-term abortions end in a baby born alive, how could we ever have late-term abortions? How could you justify that? Because that's the next logical discussion. How can we have a situation where we have practices which rip babies apart effectively at a state of time when they can be born alive, when they can outside of the womb have pain and experience suffering? Because the other thing they'd have to accept, because we know from the coroner's reports that these babies born alive cry and indicate human reactions, that happens in the womb too. It doesn't just happen after. There's not some special magical barrier that the babies pass through that turn them into human beings. They're like that in vitro as well as outside. And if that is the case, how can we allow these practices at all? And that's why they're fighting this. That's why they're fighting it tooth and nail. When you think it's a bit unreasonable, but when you think it through, this whole debate about babies born alive exposes the lies behind the abortion industry and their cover-ups of what actually goes on. So all we can do, and all I can ask you, is to continue this fight. Keep putting the spotlight on these issues. We already know the vast majority of people do not support late-term abortions in this state. They do not support viable babies being ripped apart and having their lives destroyed. And what we need to push for now is that popular support should actually be reflected in the state's popular parliaments, in the popularly elected officials should listen to the people. So please stay with me on the front foot. We've got to stay on the front foot now. What's happened in America shows that persistence, resilience, works. It works over time. And what I need you to do is go away and talk to your friends. Talk to your prospective future husbands and wives, as Joanna's husband did years ago. Talk to them about this issue. Raise it, because as soon as you raise these simple facts, you'll convince a lot of people, and then we'll get change, and we'll protect babies, and we'll protect the most important thing around in our country, which is our children. Thank you very much for your support, and God bless. Thank you.